Greetings guys, and welcome to a beautiful day out in Belarus. So we're on the edge of Minsk in a newer village called Maly Trostenets, which is a pretty unknown site, but it's a place where 300,000 people were exterminated at the hands of the Nazis. So we're gonna go and explore it, but embrace yourself. It's gonna be a sad one. So the first thing we've got here is a map showing the extent to which the extermination centers were just completely dominant in the country. I mean, like here we've got Minsk with 9 extermination centers, extermination camps and 400,000 dead. Where we are now, Trostenets, 206,500. Got Grodno with 5 camps. It's incredibly easy to just think about Germany and Poland as the places of the camps, maybe Austria, Czech Republic. Completely forget that Belarus was utterly decimated between 1941 and 1944. So in 1941, middle of 1941, during Operation Barbarossa, when the Nazis arrived, this area was a Soviet collectivist camp. It's surrounded by forests, Blagovshchina forest, and they say the original purpose was to house prisoners of war, Soviet prisoners of war, but it very quickly became an extermination site. I mean, they had Minsk ghetto down the road, so housing Jews. A lot of people from there were trucked up here, taken straight out into the forests, shot in the back of the head, and dumped into mass graves. Yeah, if we're looking at the gaps in these statues here, these monuments, we've got those flowers from Austria, some sweets to honor the children that lost their lives here, and some artifacts that I presume were found in '44 when the Soviets liberated Minsk. Soldier shrine. So this building here would have been the first place that the prisoners came to when they ended up in this camp. And it was very simple. Those that could be put to work would have ended up in one of the barracks and worked to death. And those that couldn't be put to work, of course Jews, were sent either into one of the mobile death camps that would have been roaming the site, or taken out into the forest. From 1943 onwards, the site received 2 trains per week with around 1,000 prisoners each from Germany, Czechoslovakia and Austria. And this monument here was erected a couple of years ago in honor of I think they said about 65,000 Austrian citizens who lost their lives on this site. Yeah, so now we're just in the middle of what must have been one of the barracks in the camp at the time, holding the prisoners, where, I mean, they'd be taken from here each day, face roll call, some brutal humiliation at the hands of the Nazi overseers, before they're taken and used as forced labor in one of their local factories, or I think there was a nearby sawmill, one of the local farms. So I mentioned earlier that there were no fixed killing facilities right here at Trostenets on this side, but they still had 300,000 dead and 300,000 bodies to deal with. And there were 2 ways that they did it. One of them was to build mass graves, dig mass graves out in the forest nearby. And some of them were 50 meters long and they found around 34. The other way was to set up a crematorium, simply burn all the bodies. And on this field here, strewn all around the field, are the ashes of tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people who died on this site. So we'll look around the site and clearly there's nothing left, right? And there's a very simple reason for that. So towards the end of summer 1944, when the Red Army was working its way west, to liberate places like Minsk and eventually reach Berlin, the Nazis had to retreat. But before they did, they wanted to clear evidence of what they'd been working on here. So any prisoners that were left were bungled into the buildings, and the buildings were all razed to the ground, of course with the people inside. And anybody who managed to escape was to be shot on sight. And that's what happened. A few people did escape, although you could probably count the number on one hand. And they ran out into the Blagovshchina forest. Essentially had to stay in hiding, maybe operate as partisans for a while, until they were no longer facing the threat of the Nazi killing machine. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that Belarus faced some of the worst hardship at the hands of the Nazis. I mean, they pretty much lost all of their villages, at least in West Belarus, just razed to the ground. Millions of people were brutally murdered. Camps, extermination camps were set up all over the country. None of that gets mentioned, at least in any of the history books that I was shown as a kid. I mean, I know it's impossible to cover everything, but this seems pretty significant. So pretty much back where we came in. I'm gonna go and get dry, I think. So thanks for watching. Hope that wasn't too depressing. We'll see you next time.